Yeah, hello, everyone. Welcome to Kambel Masterclass Live. I am your host, Moses Katamani. Today, we want to have another discussion. This is our live discussion, and this discussion is going to focus on ideas. We declare October our month of ideas, a month of creative ideas and career development. And in this live discussion, we are going to focus on your, your potential, your idea, your idea can make you great or somebody special. And I titled this discussion, Your Idea Can Make You a Global Icon. As I said in my introduction, which I focus on teachers' decks, we want to put every program that we do together in this live discussion. We want to, when we come to this live discussion, we want to talk about education, we want to talk about career, we want to talk about business development, we want to talk about personality development, and we also want to talk about national development or Africa in the global system, focusing on developing people to be their best self. So everything now in our live discussions will be Kambel Masterclass Live. Now, let's focus on our discussion. Our discussion, as I said earlier, is your idea can make you a global icon. When we talk about global icon, nowadays many people's focus will be on celebrities, those who are in entertainment industry, those who are filmmakers, those who are actresses, those who are actors and what have you, musician. All these people are now focused on as global icon. But in my context of this discussion about global icon is not only focusing on entertainment, but anything that you can do to solve a problem in this world can make you a peculiar person, somebody who many people will focus on because you are making a contribution to the development of the world, or you are providing a solution to the numerous problems or some problems of our world. That can make you a global icon, a global focus. This can be in education, it can be in a career area, it can be in invention, it can be in music, it can be in acting, it can be in comedy, it can be in any area of your interests. But how does this start? It all starts with an idea. In my discussion, in a previous live discussion, I emphasized on one or two things, looking at how people who have to identify their areas of interests, focus on it and build it up, that it before you realize it grows and get to a level and many people can buy into the idea. And buying into the idea, or I use the word invest in the idea. Yeah. And my focus in that discussion was not people putting money into the business directly for you to develop, but paying for the solution you have provided, and that becomes an investment into your idea. So, in this discussion about your idea can make you a global icon, I want us to reflect and think about when you were a child. In my context, I remember those days when we were little in a primary school, where there are days that they declare Children's Day. These days were declared Children's Day, and the Children's Day we recite poems, read Bible texts, say many wise sayings that are said, and we do so many sketches to illustrate how we learn in school. And I know that in Ghana, there are Children's Day celebrations. In Nigeria, too, there are Children's Day celebration. And in other parts of Africa, there are Children's Day celebrations. And on the Children's Day celebration, and you are given a poem to recite. And I could remember one of my brothers, my elder brother, a cousin, was given a poem, and the poem was entitled, or is entitled, When I Grow Old. When I Grow Old. So the when I grow old, there are many contexts that we put it. For him, his when I grow old poetry was, when I grow old, I shall become a carpenter, a carpenter, a carpenter I shall be. Somebody also, when I grow old, was, I shall be a teacher, a teacher, a teacher I shall be. And many I shall be, like I shall be a doctor, I shall be a banker, and some people say I shall be a minister. All these I shall be at that level. We're introducing our minds to some opportunities of life. And these are always, when in the school system, we are in the school system, they are introducing our minds to things that we can do. But when I grow old, I shall be so and so, I shall be so and so, were not actually because some of them, they look at your capability, but what is important about that is that the children are introduced to opportunities of life and career areas that they can go into. So I can say that even if you have not recited a poem, I shall be a teacher, I shall be a doctor, I shall be a carpenter, I shall be a mason, those mentioning of these career areas introduce your mind to some things that you can become. I can say that in my life, I did not recite I shall be that poem before, but it came to a time I began to think about so many things. And this discussion is not focusing on me, but it's an illustration. Now, so in that context of I shall be, it means that those areas, it is an idea that is being introduced to the pupil or the students. Now, so coming back to becoming a global icon, I watched a very young girl who I'll not mention the country, who very, very little said that one day she want to become a musician. And she said when she started thinking about becoming a musician, her, her colleagues or her mates in the school laugh at her. And some of them said, how can she become a musician and become a global icon? Why can she be? Because she is not beautiful. And her appearance is what the colleagues in the school used to discourage her. And however, her mind was settled on being a musician. And indeed, she became a musician and appeared on global stages, and even one time appeared on Oprah Winfrey's show before she stopped to do whatever she's doing now. What am I focusing on? When you are able to focus on an idea and you believe that you can pursue a dream in that area, it's all about holding on to the idea and making sure that one day that idea in your mind will make you great. That idea in your mind can make you great. What I want to say about this before I proceed to another angle of this discussion is that many people, when you say this is what I want to do, or this is what I desire to do, they focus on your weaknesses. Many people focus on your weaknesses. But if you are going to carry that idea or desire, the dream in your mind on, and one day you will be able to achieve that dream, then you must hold on to the idea. And that as people are looking at your weaknesses, you, the dreamer, you, the person who have that idea in your mind, you must hold on to your strengths. When people are going to undermine whatever you dream of, what I want you to understand is that they are not going to focus on your strengths, rather they will focus on your weaknesses. And that if you are going to succeed in whatever you dream of, that I shall be, then you must always focus on your strengths and encourage yourself that one day I shall be so and so that you dream of. I want to emphasize again. Nobody comes to discourage you with your strengths. Nobody will say, hey, you are doing well, but you cannot succeed. No. Everybody will be focusing on one weakness or the other in you, or they see. That is what they will discourage you about. However, if people are focusing on your weaknesses, as I stated earlier, You must focus on your strength. That is a trick. When people focus on your weaknesses, you must focus on your strengths. Don't focus on the weaknesses that they look at in you. If you do that, you can be discouraged. And you will say, okay, this person says I cannot do this person says I cannot do this, and indeed, you can be discouraged. But if you focus on the strength that is in you, and you focus on it and work on it, you can even surmount the weaknesses that people look at in you, and they will tell which they are. You cannot do it because you are this, because you are that. Another thing I want us to focus on in this context is that when people are focusing on your weaknesses, indeed everybody have some weaknesses. We have weaknesses and we have strengths. So what do you do about your weaknesses? Whatever is your weakness, when you are going to look at it, is about how do you overcome the weakness in you. Moving forward, when you are able to identify the weakness and deal with it, you grow stronger and build on your strength. Another thing I want to discuss in this context about you can become a global icon, and that thing in you, that mind, that idea in you, which you said I shall be when you were young. The fact is that you cannot say I shall be, I shall be, I shall be, and suddenly you will become. No. What you need to do is, like Kambel Masterclass is doing and trying to focus our mind moving forward on idea, is about when you say this is what I want to become, what you need to also identify is what are the knowledge areas I need in order to become or to be the shall be. What are the knowledge areas? So in this discussion, what I want us to take note of is that every I shall be or every idea that you have, every desire, every dream you have, there are knowledge areas that you need to focus on and be able to orientate yourself, or in other words, in plain words, learn about that area. The idea you have, the desire you have to learn about it. So let me give an example, which many of the things that I'll say here, like you can verify from friends that I worked with or those that I was in school with, that by the time I discovered myself, there are two areas that I looked at. And I will not talk about the other area. But first, my desire was that I want to speak to people. I want to encourage people. I desire to empower people. In other words, I desire to help people to discover themselves and become their best self. And in doing this, I needed to improve on certain things. The first one is, if you, for example, want to be what we say a public speaker or a communicator, you need to know and have command over the language you are going to use in order to address people. You need to. whether your mother tongue or a second language. English language is not my first language, or is not my mother tongue. However, going through school and getting into levels of conviction that I will do this, I had to focus on how to use language and use it effectively. What next? I had to begin to buy books and read those books about communication. And going forward, it also helped me to begin to write. And in that case, I was developing the areas. And for now, I can't say I'm excellent. However, there is improvement every day in my communication, in my interaction with people, in my writings. Those are aware about some of my works know that my first book was not the best. My first book was about, the title is How to Build Attractive Personality. That is the topic. That was my first book, which I published in 2009. How to Build Attractive Personality. As I was doing the research and I was reading materials to relate them to my ideas about personality development, I was learning for myself. And as I continue with that, there were part of that book was verbal and non-verbal communication. All these were part of that book which I wrote, which was the first one. Publishing the second book, there was an improvement. Publishing the third one, an improvement. And going forward now, I have about 10 books because I've already completed another 4, some of them which are for language and phonics. What am I trying to say? Every idea you have, every of your I shall be, there are knowledge areas that you need to focus on to improve yourself. If you identify the knowledge areas, you need to read. You need to orientate yourself. You need to improve on things that will become the weaknesses that many people will not want to listen to you or will not want to buy into your idea. You cannot have everything 100% before you start, though. I agree. You can't get everything 100% before you start. But there are certain areas, peculiar areas that you must look at. For example, I am having this discussion online live, which we call Kambel Masterclass Live. If it's about my presentation, I know there is an improvement. If it is about video quality, the video quality is not very good yet. But moving forward, there will be an improvement. So that is not much of a concern, but it is a concern to make it more quality. So to start with, you have to start from somewhere. However, before you start, my emphasis in this discussion is that you must know the knowledge areas that you need to focus on to improve yourself. Yes, another area of what I'm discussing is that when you get the knowledge areas, you must also know that there may be some challenges that you will be facing. It might be the way you speak. It might be stage fright, or when you want to speak for in the context of what I'm doing, you want to get on stage and speak to people. You are afraid and you feel frightened. However, it happens in everybody with their career, even if they are not stage personalities. It happens in every area. So the only thing is that fear is a weakness. The only thing is have to focus on why you are going to be on that stage, why you are going to do that presentation. Little by little, with much confidence to start with, you improve on your knowledge areas. Related to that is about skills. In one of my presentations, I spoke about soft and hard skills. In the learning process, we learn about hard skills, we learn about soft skills. I'm not focusing on that today. However, you need some skills in order to get attention of those you want to speak to, or those that you want to present your idea to. So in the presentation of your idea or in discussing your ideas, what we need is what? Is about skill sets. So I spoke about knowledge area, and I want to speak about skill sets. Now, there are so many things that many platforms that we have now, thanks to technology, which is an idea, people building on the idea and building on it, and we are where we are now. And there are many people who are thinking about many other areas that we can develop in order to improve on our world and make it a better place. Now, I am doing a presentation online. In this, there are certain things I need in order to make my presentation effective. And if I don't have everything I needed or I need before I'm starting, then there must be some knowledge areas that I have to use in order to cover up for those areas that I don't have yet, or those facilities I don't have yet. For example, everybody who go online to make a presentation, or you are in your I shall be and you are doing it, you must know how to carry people along. If you can carry people along without some other facilities, people will keep coming until you get there whereby you get other facilities and add. You can see my background. There are things I needed, but I need to have resources for them. However, without having these resources, I have to do certain things. Now, one area I want to talk about, which I know will help somebody in developing your idea to become that global icon you believe you can, is about knowing how you can get into the minds of people. Let me give you an example, which was one of the areas that I used or I was helped with to develop myself. In Ghana, when I was in the GSS, I had passion for poetry recital, and I recited poems when I was in a GSS. And in fact, some of these things that I'm going to talk about, I mentioned them in one of my books, and the title of that book is You Are Not Useless. You are not useless. Now, in when I started reciting poems, I never knew that it was going to add up value to my conversation, but I went through it with confidence because it was my passion areas. I could remember I recited a poem, like I said in the book I'm talking about. Every poem I recited became one of my names. And in fact, I had so many nicknames in my repertoire. In fact, I will not mention any of them now, but going forward, I am free in my mind to give examples of things to buttress whatever conversation I'm having with people. And some of those poems that I recited became some of my nicknames. Now, in the process of those poetry recitals, which took me through the stages, even I was in a national stage in Ghana. That was 1991 when I recited poem and I had a third position in the whole of Ghana. That is in National Cultural Festival, which was for secondary schools, for GSS. That time I was in GSS, I finished my GSS, and I was already a champion of the Volta region. And going to school, secondary school, and they have to write a letter, invite me to come and go for my final competition in national stage, and I got the third position. Yeah, I'm trying to focus on. In fact, every idea we have future that we desire to, everything we desire to do and become that global icon, there are knowledge and skill areas that will come your way, which you have to focus on. They will become what areas that you can fall on in order to become that person or unique person you want to be in your own area. I will not conclude this conversation if I don't speak to students. Now, I was at a place and this lady was supposed to have a holiday study or career orientation, I'll say that. And the career orientation she was supposed to have was to have a computer studies and have some computer knowledge. And the school gave them a form that when they finish the orientation or they finish the more or less apprenticeship, they will have to fill the form and bring to school to show that really she went for that career training. And she was complaining, the school was worrying them. However, what I want to say in my conversation with anybody who comes to listen to this is that there are knowledge and skill sets that we need for everything. For example, now in our world, currently, if you want to do something and get to the global stage, you need to get some knowledge areas, especially information technology, ICT, information communication technology. It is needed for everybody who want to become a global icon. In other words, who want to be an influencer. You want to influence the world in a particular area, you need to get some knowledge of ICT. Because what I want to say is this: in the final discussion of this topic, you can be a global icon, is that whatever you start, you can start in your corner, wherever you are, grow it up, and get to the world stage. However, if you are not able to learn certain things, have certain knowledge areas and skill sets, you may be having challenge going forward. That is why it is needed that whatever you are doing today, know that you can do it in the global stage if you have some knowledge areas. Now, everything can be either virtual or physical. What I'm doing now is virtual. This is a virtual presentation. And if I don't have knowledge about the area I'm dealing with and how to get into the mind of people when I'm having conversation with them online, will I be able to do it? The answer is no. Therefore, if you want to become a global icon or an influencer, or to influence people with your idea, then you must know that when you are focused, when you are able to establish your presence physically, you must think about how you can go virtual. And going virtual can attract people to you, and before you realize you are moving forward, you become that global icon you dream of. Lastly, as an example, I have interest in language, and I started a program at the beginning of this year in my language, and I call it Ewe Language Clinic. I'm an Ewe, a Ghanaian Ewe. And that program, I was just doing it as entertainment and also focusing on how to empower or encourage my people to speak our language. That was the focus of it. That was the passion of it. Before I realized, people begin to invite me and also show interest in the program, and we are moving forward. So, what am I trying to emphasize? If you have a desire to influence your world, the I shall be that is in you, you have to work on it. People will discourage you, as I stated, and when they are going to discourage you, they are going to use your weaknesses. However, you, as people focus on your weaknesses, you must focus on your strengths. Take note. When people focus on your weaknesses, you must focus on your strengths. And when you indeed know those are your weaknesses, as you focus on your strengths, you must also work on your weaknesses. And that, to conclude it, as I said, you need knowledge areas and skill sets to be able to achieve the goals and aspirations that you have. That I shall be. I hope as you listen to me, you watch this video, you will think about these areas that I'm talking about, because this is only part of the conversation, and we are going to have many other conversations concerning idea and how to take it to that global stage. And I shall be in you, you will be able to get to that level. I want to say every dream you have is possible. However, what is needed is every time there should be determination, and focusing on the dream, working at your getting the knowledge and skill sets you need before you realize you are at that global stage. Finally, as we said, and as we are doing this program, our focus is on how to develop creative ideas and also develop your career. And the focus and everything we are doing now is to take your mind into that level. And in October, we are going to have effective discussion of ideas, creative ideas, career development, and what have you. I hope as you watch this video, you subscribe to our channel. Not only that, share this conversation with somebody. And when we go on and the person get into this discussion, listen to the discussion, the person will come back and thank you because you have introduced him or her to a channel which will help him or her develop his or her knowledge, his or her dreams and aspiration, and become that I shall be, which when you were young, you told yourself, I shall be a teacher, I shall be a doctor, I shall be a carpenter, I shall be a president. I hope you continue to follow us. This is Kambel Masterclass Live. And Kambel Masterclass Live is all about discussing of issues and helping people to acquire knowledge and skill sets to improve upon themselves and to focus and pursue their dreams and aspirations and become their best self. And this in this context to become that global icon you dream of. Remember, at Campbell Masterclass, our focus is on education, career, people, and business development. And we also look at national development, and all our discussions are focusing on Africa. And wherever you are, when you watch this video, if you have interest in Africa, investing in the African child or African youth, we want to invite you to be part of our programs. And we hope that little by little, we will empower our people, African students, African youth, and people, and help them to achieve their goals and desires. At Campbell Masterclass, at Campbell International Group, at Campbell Masterclass Live, we anchor vision and mission. Thank you for following me. I hope you share this video with somebody. Thank you.